Okay, today we're going to talk about principles 7 and 8 with the intuitive eating principles. Principle 7 is honoring your emotions and feelings without using food. And principle 8 is respecting your body. These are things that we're always talking about here in this space, and that's something that I love so much about this group. But we get to hammer it home a little bit more in our focus this week. So, with 7, when we're talking about honoring your emotions without using food, first thing I want you to do is just notice what you do when you're feeling stressed. So take some time today and tomorrow and journal. I think journaling is a huge way, or even text it to yourself. Have a place to just jot down what you do when you feel stressed. I can give you a great example last night with my kids. I chose to play Rummy Cube by myself with my 4 kids, which is kind of a game of strategy and way too high level for my kindergarten daughter. But my boys are in first and third, and they love the game. We have a lot of fun with it sometimes, and it was super stressful. Like it's 6 o'clock, my husband's still not home from work. We're all hungry. They're cheating. They're yelling at each other. I can't keep the peace. My 3-year-old's crying. Like it was just, I'm just feeling the stress. And I could tell, I knew there was some Rice Krispie treats left over from this weekend in the pantry, and I just wanted to go eat them for no reason other than I was stressed. And I like found myself kept getting up, like wandering into the kitchen. And finally I was able to take note of like, I just feel really tense and really stressed right now because they're being crazies and I'm crazy myself because it's 6 o'clock and I'm hungry. And so instead, I just got out like carrots and salsa and had that because I needed something to kind of satisfy my hunger, and I needed a place to go just with that tension and stress. So it was helpful for me to get up, go to the kitchen. I thought about tea, even that could have been something that was helpful. But it was just one of those times when you're losing your mind, and I could see that pattern. Now, there's plenty of times I feel that way, and I do go get a bite of that Rice Krispie treat. But I think part of my own journey as I learn and I grow is realizing that's not actually what I want right then, and it's not actually an enjoyable time for me to eat a Rice Krispie treat. There's nothing wrong with having Rice Krispie treats. I just want to do it at a time and space that I'm not doing it out of my emotion and out of my stress, because like we said, that's a stressful way to eat a treat, not an enjoyable way to eat a treat. So after you take some time to notice what triggers you, what you're feeling when you feel that stress, and what you do when you feel it. So when do you go to food? Kind of notice when are those main times that you go to food. And then I want you to pick 2 ways to deal with that the next time you feel it. So putting myself back in that game scenario, really stressful, husband's not home from work, we're hangry, etc. I have 2 options when I notice myself wanting to go to the pantry and get the Rice Krispie. And my 2 options are I'm either going to take some time, get up, walk around, stretch, or get tea. Those are my 2 things. And the reason one of those involves movement and one of them involves a food is because for me, sometimes, when it's a situation with your kids around, you can't actually just get out and go on a walk. Or it might not be a time that you can go do a couple stretches or a yoga flow, but maybe I could have. Maybe I could have stopped the game that was a total disaster anyway and said, guys, let's all just do like a couple jumping jacks and jog in place, do some push-ups and then stretch. And actually my kids probably would have done even better with that. So having a game plan like that, if you're feeling stressed at work, giving yourself some time to just take a lap around the block, giving yourself time to get out of your desk for a minute and take a bathroom break, take the long way there, give yourself a walk, something like that. Or again, when you're feeling that trigger, you're stressed, you're anxious, maybe it's like at night and you're feeling stressed about work the next day, that's when you do the tea. Get your tea, sit down, enjoy it, take some time. Maybe for you it's journaling, maybe it's playing a game that you enjoy. Maybe like you like to do solitaire, so you feel that stressed, instead of eating, you do some solitaire, you grab a book. These are just different options. Maybe you plan to take a bath that night because you know that's going to be helpful for you. You're feeling the anticipation of the day, and you're going to honor those emotions by carving space for yourself to just wind down. Journaling, stretching, baths, reading, walking, calling a friend, that can be a great strategy. Marco Poloing a friend if you know your friend might not be available to talk, but you need just a healthy space to process. Again, you don't want those to just turn into unhealthy like vent sessions that spikes your stress even more, but you'll know what that looks like for you and where that looks healthy. Okay, so that's how you honor your emotions without using food. So find another strategy, which I guess if you're using tea, that's sort of using food, but I don't view that as food. I view tea as like it's a calming, healthy, nutritious way to kind of reset. So, but it would be great to think of things too that are other than even a drink. Now, the next one is respect your body. This is something that we're always working on, is just changing our view of ourselves. This is really hard. We've had a negative voice in our head about our bodies probably most of our life. My daughter's 5, and she already came home from school one day this week and said, my friend Nora is prettier than me. And I was like, what? First of all, you are both beautiful. One of you doesn't have to be more beautiful than the other. It was so sad to me that she's already comparing herself, and she's 5. And I hope she's never heard that, because I don't think I've ever compared her to someone or compared myself in front of her. That's something I try to really guard, but I mean, it's just in her, I think, and it makes me so sad. So the point of that is we start at a young age not feeling like we're not enough and feeling like our body's not enough. So working really hard to change that message, and that message is really hard. And I think that that's going to be different for all of us. For me right now, that looks like not weighing myself. That's something I've committed to for a couple months, though I think it can be a great tool for some women, and I use it with clients a lot. But right now, I just was putting too much hope and identity in that, and it wasn't helpful for me. I might again someday use that as a helpful tool, but right now I needed to remind myself that my worth wasn't in a number, and I needed to practice what I preach there. So that's just not a place that gets to own me, especially because it was starting to own me. There's seasons where the scale doesn't own me and I can weigh myself, and it can be a great tool. I think it's also your mantra that you're going to tell yourself throughout the day. So finding ways to get that positive mantra in. Maybe it's not spending time looking in the mirror and comparing yourself, and you just commit that every time you do that, you're going to say something positive to yourself and walk away. I know the posture, that we do. We look up, we look at the side, we compare. There's an element where you're just seeing how your outfit looks, but you know in your heart when it becomes a place where you're not respecting your body, you're not speaking kind to your body in your head. So have a plan for that. That's the biggest takeaway I want us to have for this is just, again, notice when you're speaking unkind to yourself in your head or out loud, and then have one phrase you're going to say to yourself right then. So for me, I like to say, you're wonderfully made and you are so deeply loved. That's what I like to say to myself. It can be whatever is helpful for you in that time. And as soon as I feel myself immediately wanting to be like, oh, I'm whatever, you are wonderfully made and you are deeply loved. And that's all. And that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to beat myself up that I didn't respect my body in that moment. I'm going to move forward. And over time, I believe that is going to slowly help us change the message that we're preaching to ourselves about our body. And it's hard work, girls. We got to put our hands in and come on. We got to work at this, because I want better for our daughters and our daughters' daughters. And I want better for ourselves. We don't have to settle for the track that we've been listening to for the last 35 years. And again, this is a place where you need to monitor your feed and the messages that you're getting. So make sure you're hearing messages that are reminding you to respect your body. And if you're following a bunch of people on Instagram that aren't reminding you of that, take time to just maybe stop following them for a while and make sure you're filling your feed with things that are positive. You're filling your world with people that are speaking that same message to you. If you have friends that are harping on themselves a lot, maybe it's a space where you can lovingly say something. And if you can't, maybe you just make a mental note to always turn the conversation if it's becoming kind of like a body bashing conversation. So feeling your feelings without using food, honoring your feelings without using food, and respecting your body. That's our focus.